Welcome to the 7th episode of the End Podcast. We really do appreciate your viewership and welcome back. And today, I'm Alex.
I'm Josh, and this is the third time we've recorded this intro.
I keep doing it worse and worse just to annoy him, and it's great. So we are going to write a story
Downhill.
today, sentence by sentence,
Yes.
word by word.
Not word by
Ooh.
word. We're going back to the original format.
Letter by letter. Ooh. We could do that.
Stroke by stroke. But anyway,
Yes.
I think we should just stop messing around and let me flip the coin. Don't be me, don't be me, don't be me. Dang it!
Is it you?
Yes.
That's like the 4th time in a
I
row.
know, and
This
it's
is
bad every
unfair.
time. Do you want to go?
No, it's the fate of the coin.
Dang it.
We can't mess with the fate of the coin.
I don't want to.
I
Well,
wanted to do a story about a grocery store.
I want to do anything except that. So,
All right, that's fair.
let's see. I have a book about linear algebra. Got a calculator.
No, you're not doing anything about math.
You don't want to do the linear algebra fan cast.
Honestly, I'd rather die.
Okay. Ready to go. So we're back after that short intermission, and now we're going to actually start.
Now we're gonna actually start. Proceeds to give a long
The-
pause.
This,
That's what you came up with?
the strong midday sun of the
Ooh, descriptor.
Montana plains
Montana, let's go.
illuminated.
Keystone Pipeline.
Strongly. Boom. All right, and we're back.
is
The
this
strong
about?
midday sun of the Montana plains heated up the land for miles before it was broken by an incoming array of dark clouds. All right, that's it. That's what we spent 10 minutes on.
That's what. Arrows shot left and right of John.
Can we give him a better name than John,
No.
please?
Arrows shot left and right of John's.
Why are there
As the-
arrows?
Incoming.
I
I
already
need a
used
tribe.
incoming.
Okay, well. I need a tribe name.
Can we not do that? Please.
I need a tribe name.
Why are you doing that? We don't have the time or the know-how to write something that deals with anything like that.
Well, then we can change it up after a while.
Okay.
Great
Lakota.
Plains.
The Lakota are from
Dakota
Montana.
or Lakota?
Lakota.
Arrows shot left and right of John as the incoming Lakota tribe moved in quickly on horseback.
So necessarily the Lakota are generally from, obviously, the Dakotas, what
yeah.
is now the Dakotas. But that's
How did
close
that
enough.
happen?
That's
When
close
did they
enough
decide
to
to replace the
Montana.
L with the D?
I don't know. There's English for you. The thundering sounds of hooves impacting the ground echoed for miles around Missouri River Valley.
This is becoming a research project.
Around the
The
Missouri
Lakota tribe moved into the Montana plains and around.
A history project that's all wrong. Shocking, John.
You put
as
Josh?
Yeah,
Way to superimpose yourself into this story.
Freudian slip. Shocking John as he
You didn't see me putting Angry Alex in on the last episode.
fled from the wave of incoming assailants. All right, you're up. Fine.
Does the Missouri River Valley go through Montana?
Correct. That's why I looked at the map next to me before I actually wrote that. I don't know if it's necessarily a valley, but the Missouri River does in fact go through Montana.
Whistling, what are those called? Whistling ammunition? I don't know. What would you
Arrows,
say?
projectiles.
Projectiles. That's the word I'm looking for. Whistling projectiles screamed by John as he jumped, as he dunked himself.
What?
himself. Wait, is the Missouri River Valley a river or is it a
Yes.
valley?
Yes, both.
So there is water.
Correct. That's why it's called the Missouri River.
Okay.
The
What
valley
color
is
the
just
water?
the area around the river,
What
assuming
color
that
is the
it
water, Josh?
exists.
Is it brown? Is it blue? Is it?
It's pretty near the origins of the Missouri, so it's probably reasonably clear.
Dunked himself into the reasonably clear water. And what is your source on this?
I looked at a map.
So Wikipedia, maybe?
No, to the left of me. Are you citing your sources?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look pretty blue.
All
Pretty
right. Source
blue.
Josh's map. Does he
And
dunk
you know
himself
what?
into the reasonably clear
Those are
water?
some hills, so I think that's I'd classify that as a river valley.
There are hills too. By the way. All right. Whistling projectile screened by John as he dunked himself into the reasonably clear water. Source Josh's map. There are hills too, by the way. For some reason, I really like just writing like it's a stream of consciousness. I really like that just because it's so stupid to me.
It's cold water, chilled him to the core. But
We did this last episode too with the screenplay.
he fought back his desire to surface as he dove down deeper.
Oh, I still haven't watched 21 Bridges. I was going to
Right.
talk about it on this episode.
Towards an illuminated
Uh-oh.
cavern.
Luke, that's not
Boom.
how. That's not
Boom.
That's not how. That's not how. That's okay. That's
That-
how you
what-
spell it. There it is.
What are you
Alright.
fixing? What are you?
No, okay. You
What?
fixed it, and then it took a long time to fix on my
Oh,
screen.
yeah, no, it was fine. I fixed that a
But
while
he
ago.
fought back to-
Is this guy like
Is he gonna
weird,
die a diver's
weird
death?
American Indiana Jones?
I have an idea.
Is it Indiana Jones but for America?
As he kicked his legs to propel him to the hypnotizing luminance that's a word, right?
Yeah, I don't think that I wouldn't use it there, but that's just me.
Hypnotizing beam. As he kicked his legs to propel him to a hypnotizing beam below
How
a
deep
rocky
is the
underwater
Missouri
cliff.
River?
His spurs spun about.
He has spurs?
His spurs spun about behind him. Because he's kicking and he has cowboy boots on, so his spurs are just like.
So the
I don't know.
lower Missouri River is pretty deep, but I can't find any facts about the upper Missouri.
Well, it is in our story. As he kicked his legs to propel him to the hypnotizing beam below a rocky underwater cliff, his spurs spun about behind him. This is only really to give you context into what he's wearing, because I want him to look
Okay.
like a standard, like, cowboy.
Generic cowboy.
Well, not generic. We can fancy it up a little bit. Maybe give him a fedora instead of.
His hands graze the threshold to the blah blah blah.
Man, you can't type today.
Actually, I'm not doing too bad. Not compared to last
I mean,
week.
I'm not saying I can't type better, because I
His
most
hands
certainly
graze the
cannot.
threshold to the outcropping.
Yeah, basically.
And with a
I mean, it's cave.
strong.
This reminds me of the Dean's Blue Hole and what's the other one? The one in Egypt that divers die at all the time, because there's this beam of light through this cavern that people think that it goes through, but it doesn't. It's just an illusion.
Huh.
Well, I think it does go through, but it's weird because it's misleading, because it looks like it's only like 10 feet, but it's really like I think it was like 50 to 100 feet like long like cavern that's way below the surface, so that these divers who like go beyond their limits, they just like pass out trying to reach it, and it's really sad. There was a whole documentary I watched about it. Even like the most like trained ones, they think they can reach it, but it's just too far. It's an illusion.
All right. So anyway, I said his hands grazed the threshold to the outcropping and with a strong push entered inside the larger room with an air bubble at the ceiling. Let me change that to past tense.
He gasped for air as he reached the surface. Oh, that's how you spell breached. Okay. The surface and waited in pure panic as he tried to calm himself down.
Okay. He began slowly emptying his boots of...
Wait, is he out? Is he on the surface? Is he...
But you said he was waiting, so I assumed he gets there.
Okay, what can we decide what this room looks like? Is it a big air bubble room with like a place you can stand and get dry, or is it...
I was thinking that it was just like it was a deep cavern and then there was just a little pocket of air at the top, but then you put that he was waiting there, so it's like, oh, okay, I guess this is a small room.
Well, no, he's waiting on the surface, like he's waiting in the water.
That's called treading. Waiting implies that he can stand on something.
Wait, no, it doesn't, does it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well then I meant treading.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool.
Wait, really waiting? Really?
Yeah. When you wade through a river, you're just walking on the bottom.
Huh. I was way
on,
wrong about
on
that
River
word.
Facts with Josh.
Well, thank you, sir. I mean, I feel like such an idiot.
Wait, oh. How do you spell treading water?
That's it. And treaded in pure panic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay,
It doesn't like it.
Yeah, it does. It's not a fan of it. Yeah, okay, Google agrees with us, even if Google here doesn't agree.
I asked Google myself.
Ignore. All right. So he's just treading water. Okay, cool. Oh, we have to establish what was the light. Right?
We'll figure that out.
I know, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. Let's see.
Steadying his breathing to conserve oxygen in the limited space, in the limited volume of air.
Wait, what if that's not where the light is yet?
Found.
What if it's only part 1 of the cavern?
Noticed below him I was going to say a blinding light, but then it wouldn't make sense that he didn't see it earlier.
Yeah.
A dim orange glow.
Orange?
Yep. Orange. No. Purple. Purple glow. Did I say emanating before?
I don't think so.
Emanating. Don't know how to spell that.
Eminem.
Oh, snap. Oh, no. I thought I got it.
Emanating from.
Emanating from a...
Today's just one big vocabulary lesson.
Object. Yeah. A small object in the depths of the cavern. Of the space. Boom.
To flow out, as from source or origin. That's what emanating means. Fun fact.
Pro tips. This week on The End Word Edition. John
Okay.
whips out a spectrometer to see what elements could possibly be making up such a glow.
So there's an object that has a purple glow?
Correct. It's radioactive and he dies. The end.
A dim purple glow.
He's
emanates from
actually
small
in a
object.
nuclear reactor, and that's one of the spent fuel rods. Although they glow blue, technically, from what I remember. I think uranium is blue, and plutonium as well. Let's see.
As he brought his breathing back to a normal rate, a steady pace.
I think neon is purple.
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool.
That's a noble gas, though. How would it get all the way down there? Chemistry tips.
He dove back below to grasp the rock.
To rock.
The rock? I mean, what is it? I mean, the
Okay.
graphs. Hold on.
Helium is like
Are we deciding
like
this is
red.
something? I kind of want to make it very ominous.
Neon's red. Argon's pretty purple.
To grasp
Argon spectra is pretty purple.
the
Spectrum.
smooth stone-like object. Maybe I'll do it crystallic.
Ooh. Yeah, argon is probably your best bet. Looks pretty cool.
As he palmed it.
Like a basketball.
I mean, no, he just grabbed it with his palm.
He
But as he
grabbed it like
palmed
a
it,
basketball. I
all
like
right.
the alliteration.
As he brought his breathing, oh, there's a lot of alliteration in this sentence. As he brought his breathing back to a steady pace, he dove back below to grasp the smooth crystallic object. But as he palmed it, the rock slipped out into a small crack within the cave's flooded floor. There's a lot of alliteration in there.
Brought his breathing back below.
Dove back below, yeah.
Small, slipped small,
Slips out
Kate
small.
flooded floor.
All right, I'm pretty proud of myself.
Got a real
alliterative.
Wordsworth over here.
By
After returning to
reading-
the small air bubble and to refresh his breath, he dove down and began to pry at the crack, trying to grasp his treasure once more. I'm going to go with seize, not grasp. Boom. Words.
His hand bloodied at the
At the gaping maw.
the sharp stones, stopping his reach. More alliteration. Stopping his
I
reach.
swear I should never have mentioned it. Now every sentence is going to have random alliteration in it.
But I did that whole sentence without even realizing it. That was the thing.
I know,
That's why
but
it was such a
now
big
it's
deal.
never going to stop.
Yeah, now I'm just gonna be pointing it out the whole episode. Sharp stones stopping his reach. His hand blooded the I can't. Stopping his reach.
I
What's
know.
another word? Wrenching?
Yeah.
Because it's not an actual wrench, but it's. But he kept wrenching.
We're all aware of that. He pulls out his Craftsman 7/16 pocket wrench.
But he kept wrenching at the opening as. Needle like.
Fish.
No.
Rocks.
Yeah, a swordfish just goes right through him and pierces him.
No, they're needlefish. They're
You
little
remember?
dudes.
Sidetrack real quick. Josh, do you remember that game we used to play
I do.
in sailing camp? What was that? We used to... His hand bloodied at the sharp stone stopping his reach, but he kept wrenching at the
What?
opening as he couldn't tear his eyes away from the purple essence. I like that sentence.
With a deep crack. The rock finally gave way.
Can we make the people come after him now underwater?
I don't think that they would be crazy enough to do that.
But they might.
But I really don't.
All right, fine. We'll just leave it that they decided to.
They're all probably
leave him be.
standing on the shore. Like,
Well, when
like,
he
you know
didn't
how
come
when
up,
you
when he
know how
didn't come
you
up,
jump underwater and they're like the bees just sit there and like look and they're just waiting. That's what I imagine them doing right now. Bees.
yeah, it's like all those movies where people jump in the water trying to escape the police, or something, and the police are standing up there ready to shoot when they come back up.
Yes, correct.
And then when they don't come up, they're like, "Well, guess he's dead."
Guess
and
we
then
lost
and then
him.
it's revealed, then it's revealed that he had scuba diver equipment the whole time, hidden, and he got away. All right.
So, with a deep crack, the rock finally gave way, and seconds later, John was on the surface of the water with the mysterious object in his hands.
He wiped his blood off to clear
Is it like an orb?
the orb. Sure. He wiped his blood off to
I wonder what
clear
the
the
orb
orb.
does. Comment down below what you think the orb does.
He wiped his blood off to clear the orb as his monotonous staring continued. Must have been hours.
What?
John couldn't really tell.
There's a limited oxygen supply, sir. He's gonna die.
John couldn't really tell because he's in a cave. Because he was underwater
That's
in a cave.
the fact that you just go so colloquial to explain things every once in a while really just confuses me.
It's fun. I enjoy it. He wiped his blood off to clear the orb as his monotonous staring
Like-
continued for what must have been hours. John couldn't
like
really tell
earlier
because he
with
was
the-
underwater in a cave.
There are hills too, by the way. Like what?
Okay.
Why?
That was just funny. Just because we were talking
But
about
why do you
it.
do this? The surface of the sphere was silky smooth.
All right, I agree though. He should be going up soon
But
since
with-
he's running out of air.
Yes. One gaping crack. No, we already talked about
No more crack.
No more cracks.
This is about crack rock.
Oh no. Well, with one,
John's gonna be El
I was gonna say
Chapo.
shattered corner, but spheres don't have
Jono.
corners.
Did you not hear my El Chapo joke?
No, I
Ooh, El
didn't. I
Chapo did
don't.
cocaine, wasn't it?
I
I'm
don't
getting my
know.
drug kingpins mixed up.
With one rough patch near where the light was originating from.
He snapped out of his
Stupor.
hypnotizical. I don't know. Hypnotical.
Hypnotizical.
Hypnotical. I think. Well, I like hypnotizical. It doesn't. Wait, is that a real word?
No way.
It's a real word. Come on. It's
Really?
not fixing it.
No, it autocorrects to hypnotical,
Hypnotizical.
which is still weird.
Yeah, it's not real.
Hypnotical.
Can I leave it?
Sure, I don't care.
All right. I'm just gonna leave it. Change it. I mean,
I'm just gonna leave it, and by that I mean I'm gonna change it.
I'm gonna change it. Yeah. He snapped out of it his hip. I don't like it as much. Hypnotical.
Well, that's also not what the word means.
Hypnotical trance.
Because hypnotical generally is, from what
doesn't
it
even
seems
like it
like
either.
to me, it's adhered to the
Hypnotic.
thing causing the hypnotic trance.
That makes sense. He snapped out of his hypnotic trance as
Why don't you just say hypnosis? Why is that to be hypnotic trance?
as he gasped for air, realizing he would be out soon. All right, go.
He does a quick stoichiometric calculation of the air using his I don't know thing.
That makes no sense, but that's the thing that doesn't make any sense with this story. That's the only thing.
Using the light as using the sphere.
By the way, we're
So-
40 minutes in and we have gone nowhere with this story besides him finding it.
He
But I have
found
an
a
idea.
stone.
I have an idea what we're gonna do with the stone.
His light is his path forward. He quickly swam out of the cave and broke back into the normal world. No, the mortal world
The mortal world.
with a splash. Boom. Poetic writing. I'm a
splash.
poet. That's a professional poet for all you.
He lifted himself out
I
of the
don't
great
know what this
beyond.
word does.
As he lifted
Okay.
himself out of the great beyond.
Okay, that was weird. You know, there's a significant portion of the time where I'll write a couple of things into a sentence, and I'm like, okay, this is what I think he's going to take and run with, and no, I'm never right.
As he lifted himself out of the... That's a compliment. I'll take that.
I was like, oh, he's gonna talk about him going back and standing up and seeing like what's going on outside. No, he's going with the mortal world thing.
Scanned his surroundings.
Beep 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 beep.
No. He scanned his surroundings.
He 3D scanned his surroundings and uploaded them to megascans.com.
For any potential predators. No. For any
Predators? He turned into a rabbit.
potential... He scanned his surroundings for any potential enemies. Before returning to...
The cave.
No, yeah.
He's like, oh, okay, we're good up here.
Yeah, they're gone. We can go back down there and enjoy it. Before we return, non-green. No, I'm kidding. At
the non-green. That's
purple
the
hue.
weirdest way.
What's a word? Object.
Orb. MacGuffin. Treasure.
I wanted to do more alliteration, but as he lifted himself out of the great beyond, he scanned his surroundings for any potential enemies before returning his gaze at the purple hue orb. All right, I know exactly where I want to go with this story. But you
Returning
gotta.
his gaze at the purple hue orb is just like, okay, whatever.
All right, I know where I'm gonna go with the story, but I'm curious if you're on the same track. So keep
I
writing.
guarantee you I'm not. He floated over to the shore. Is it
Thought
called
he
a
already
shore if it's a
was on the
river?
shore.
Riverbank.
Oh, he's
What?
not yet.
Riverbank, and pulled himself out without much trouble, soothed by his return to land. Oh yeah, cool, so cool. I'm
He
curious where
laid
you're gonna go with this.
his soggy boots.
Can you do the thing where he takes off the boots and then just pours water out of them?
He laid his soggy
His soggy side.
after pouring out a good gallon of pure Missouri Valley, River Valley water.
No, he pours a gallon out of his boots and a solid 5 out of his hat.
A solid 5. I mean, you can do that.
'Cause
But
it's
I
a
want to establish
5-gallon
something
hat.
else. He laid his soggy boots next to his side of it, pouring out a good gallon of pure Missouri River water. TM
Tech support.
space. There it is.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so now it's branded. Noticed a piece of litter. Piece of litter
Okay.
branded with bright green plastic.
You really wanted green in here.
A bright green plastic paper with the word Sprite on it. He laid his soggy boots next to his side after pouring out a good gallon of pure Missouri River water, branded, and he noticed a piece of litter, a bright green plastic paper with the word Sprite on it.
I have no idea where you're going with this at all.
Do you want me to tell you?
Sure.
All right. So he went down below, and he said he didn't know how long he was down there. So he's going to come out in 2020.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was thinking something similar to that. I was just like, what is that? I thought you meant that like the thing he had, the orb he had was like a soda bottle or something. I was like, no. No.
So my idea is that he's going to come out as a cowboy who was just being chased by,
Okay. Yeah, that works.
the Lakota tribe, and then all of a sudden he's in modern Montana.
He looks over and sees that like there are like 50 skeletons of people on horses because they were just waiting there until they died.
That's great. I mean, it makes no sense, but it's great.
It's like, we're not moving until he comes out.
I don't think you should put that on the story. I think we should just keep going. But
Yeah.
that's great. He waited the whole time. He wiped out the Lakota tribe.
That's a visual detail in the background of the shot.
Wait.
They confused, but not too concerned look on his face.
We've used gaze so many times.
That's why I didn't use it.
I saw.
I thought about it though. It's one of my
Also-
favorite words.
Also, good gallon. Plastic paper.
Okay. I don't care about your alliteration anymore.
I'm doing pretty good at it. That makes sense.
He tossed the paper away from himself, away from where he was sitting.
I mean, it is kind of paper. It's paper plastic, but did they really
Yeah.
have that much plastic back then?
No.
So he would. I mean, what time? What period was that? The 1850s?
Yes.
Okay. They had good old. Wait, they didn't even have Coca-Cola yet.
I think Coca-Cola was like 1890. I don't know if that's right. Don't quote me on that, but that's
All right,
what I feel.
I'm trying to think of scenarios that'd be funny for like a 1850s cowboy to come back in the modern world and like try to figure out.
He
I
ends
know.
up
I know what we can do. So he's gonna go to town, and the first thing he's gonna ask is like, "Where's your sheriff?"
Okay. I was thinking that he ends up in one of those like historical reenactment places and he's the best.
Okay. So here's my idea. So he goes to downtown, and then we have a few things where he's trying to figure out like modern day stuff. And there's this guy across the street who's like just staring at him, and he's like, "What the heck?" And then so he thinks he wants to duel him. So
So he gets accused of murder.
well, he's not gonna kill him. I think that it's just gonna be like this.
He shoots his knee out.
I mean, he had his gun underwater. I think his gun's gonna explode in his hand.
No, not necessarily. No, don't Navy SEALs carry their guns with them when they go swim? And also, referring to what they do as going to swim is probably not accurate.
Bro, have you seen the Army swim team?
For a short rest. So he takes a nap.
Their diving board is their helicopters.
I think the Coast Guard probably does the most diving. Because they jump out of the
No, they're the
helicopters,
lifeguards
right?
at the pool.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay. Where are we at in the story?
He takes a nap.
Settling down for a short rest.
How long have we been recording for that we got to the point where he goes down, grabs a thing, comes out of the water, and takes a nap?
Hey, buddy, you okay? That's probably what meant. I keep saying Montana. I don't know why.
A Montana. There's next week's episode. This week in Montana.
So all of the female population of Montana was wiped out. Now it's called Montana.
God. You could probably sell that to someone. I bet someone would buy
A
that.
TLC. I could see a TLC show about that, honestly.
Like that,
four men living in their own Montana ranch, but with a twist. All right, so the ultimate TLC show would be like overweight couponers who have relationship problems.
Right. I'm gonna go a short sentence here. So you're up.
Who appeared seemingly out seemingly nowhere. Out seemingly nowhere.
Out of. This is why you read your drafts, kids, before you submit them.
You lost friend? What do they call that? The historical ranch.
Historical ranch.
It's about 2 miles from here. Man with a shiny badge asked. Well, then just line break and then just have him drop him off at the historical place.
All right. Yeah, that works. 20 minutes and 1 car ride later. The 1 horse ride. Let's go horse. Yeah, he'll probably be pretty confused here in a second.
Oh, is his old house gonna be on display?
I was thinking about it.
That's great. That's honestly great. Oh wait, and he goes into his house, and then somebody from the historical society is gonna be like, "Sir, you can't sleep in here."
he goes to the house and opens up like the ice box. It's like, "Hey, where'd all the beer go?"
All right, we should do this.
All right, you're up.
Oh, my turn?
Yep.
Heading off towards some other...
We actually could do this at Heritage Village, couldn't we?
Probably.
Like, film this. All
right, but we need an actual story with it. So
I know. This is only the setup.
We're not like 21 Bridges Part 1 again.
No. We're not going to be able to make a full story out of this in like 20 minutes.
A large... Oh, I'm going to say small. Because he was living in the
small
prairies.
Man.
A small cabin, log-sided cabin hut.
A small log-sided cabin hut house building.
He approached a small log-sided cabin hut and walked in casually before plopping down
Plop.
onto the made-up bed.
He started taking off his waterlogged
clothes
clothes and drying off and dry.
A foreign voice? What does that mean?
Like someone that he doesn't know.
Kind of sounds like he's a foreigner.
Okay, well that works.
I mean, interesting.
Yeah.
Sir, can't sleep on the displays.
No, it should be like, I appreciate your dedication, but we actually would like to preserve this place, sir.
Nah, I'm just gonna leave it. Sir, you can't sleep on the displays.
Well, they probably think he works there because he's dressed in the outfit. Like, how many people go to a like Heritage Village dressed up?
Well, my whole thing is that the person doesn't know them because they are like they're a manager or something, and they know he doesn't work there, so he's just a random dude sleeping on the
Oh,
displays.
okay.
Sir, you can't sleep on the displays.
Also, he's not sleeping. He's just he's taking off all of his clothes and drying off.
All right, so let's say 1850, so that's 150 plus 20 years, 170.
Okay.
That bed is over 160 years old. Let me sleep in my damn house.
What you talking about?
Talking. What you talking about?
What you talking about? I just built this. I just built it. No, he's probably confused more about the time than anything else. I just built this last week. How about this last week myself? That's good enough to me. We've been writing in past tense this whole time. Correct. Hopped off. Wished him. And
the stranger gived him. We're gonna leave it. Gived him.
This is such an opposite of what you would normally expect with a story like this, in which the past we talk about only in poetic, perfectly accurate, grammatically correct English language, and in the future we talked about the stranger gived him nothing but a smile before.
Putting out her hand. You must be Calvin. Heard we was getting some new
blood.
What do we call them? New
hires.
New hires.
And from Milwaukee.
Yeah. In from. Hold on. I want to give it Cleveland.
Okay. That's a far trip.
Was getting some new hires this
map.
Weekend from. You must be Calvin. Heard we was getting some new hires this weekend from Cleveland. Didn't quite expect you so soon, though.
I didn't expect you to be so into it already.
No, of course not. Again.
Seriously, though. Off of the bed.
Yeah, I like that. John stood up abruptly before reading a large ledger detailing the history of his house. So you know how they have like when you go to a museum?
It's like a plaque. Like this.
Oh,
this here,
so it's not a ledger.
This here was.
Well, can it be a ledger too?
Sure, it can be a ledger. That's fine.
All right, and he should notice something like if that's obviously wrong. He's gonna be like, I didn't build this. This was built in the winter of 18.
This was built in the winter of 1967.
When did Cowboys exist? What is the actual year?
It wasn't for very long. It was for like 20 years, but
late 19th century. So maybe not 1850, but
we'll go with it. Plus, he doesn't have to be a typical cowboy. He could have just been a pioneer who just happened to have a hat and spurs.
You know, 1887. That's pretty close.
It's like 37 years off of
all right,
what we
gotta
were thinking.
Get going.
Yep. I think that he should just finally realize that he's in 2020, and then he just looks at the camera and does a surprise face, and then we cut to black.
What? No, we're not writing a screenplay. That makes no sense.
Duh.
Also, that's a really bad ending.
It works though.
We can come up with something better. Here's what I have so far. So he's gonna notice how much that history is going to be like. He tries to tell people that this is him. Like there's gonna be there's gonna be like a plaque about him, and he's trying to tell people that he is him, and nobody will believe him because they think he's the actor playing him. And so he just gives in and just like whatever. But we also have to have more stuff going on with about how the modern days, everything.
Yeah, correct. Wait, all right. Wait. So what if his manager is super into the past and he convinces her, like she's like a historian, and he convinces her that he actually is from the past by recounting some details that no one's ever really known before. Like he goes and finds a secret compartment in the house or something like that. And then he's like, but wait, I know how we can get back. and I can take you to the past and show you all of the things. She's just like, yeah, I'm in. I want to learn more about the past. And so they go back into the cave, and when they come out, it's 2136.
Hold on. Hold the phone. Okay. It's your idea, but I think it's better for a shorter story. So, okay. Historic information will manage to clear off the clothes that John plopped down in bed earlier. This is all wrong. All of it.
I feel it's like, this ain't right.
It's all wrong. All of it.
This ain't it, man. Anyway, what was your idea to end it?
I want to just keep writing, because I don't want to spoil it.
Well, I'm just gonna keep heading towards my ending, and if you get something,
okay, fine.
We'll
Here's my ending. So, I agree that he convinces the manager that he is really from the past, and then he's like, "I can show you. Let's go to the past," and then he has to go back to the. Where does the orb in this, by the way?
It's he hid it in his jacket while he was walking into town.
Did you establish this?
Correct. It says while clutching his orb under his jacket.
Okay.
Yes. We can according to the rules
How do we
of
have
logic
enough time
that
to
we've
do
set forth.
this? Because we have the idea. Should
You
we
haven't
just write
told me
the
what the
idea we
idea
have
is.
and not the specifics, just for time's sake?
Yeah, we can do that. But wait, what's your idea though?
Okay, so they go back in time. So they go back, and he brings her back to, like, he takes her, and they try to time travel back in time, and they do, and then he's like, this is what the town's actually about. This is how the past actually was, because he's gonna notice they're glorifying the town. When he reads all the information, he's gonna notice that they're glorifying it, even though it's not perfect in any sense, and that. He's going to be like, this is what it's actually like. And the town's actually like a mess. And there's so many problems with it. And that their whole historical description is all wrong. So then they're going to go back to the future. And then when they go back to the future, everything's going to be fixed. Because they go back. I'm confusing myself with paradoxes.
Are you sure you don't like the simple ending of them going back to the past, but then it's actually the future, and they're just like,
no, that makes no sense. Because that doesn't have any character arc.
I know, but if we want to get this done now.
But we still can't get it done now. Okay, so they go back to the past. He's like, this is what it really looks like. It should not be honored because of all these issues going on.
All right. I appreciate the timely manner of you pointing things like that out.
Yes. And then they go back. Then they go further into. They go back into the present where they don't exist anymore.
What? Why would that happen? They're the only ones that have that knowledge.
Okay, here we go. So they go back into the past, and then they leave the cave, but they leave a little bit too early, so the tribe is still around, and so the Lakotas chase them into town, and then they burn down the whole town, and then when they go back into the future, there's nothing there. It has to do with the whole thing about, like, you shouldn't, like, try to bring somebody else into the past. In a way, it's like, don't mess with time travel. But then again, this isn't a time travel
I'm not
story.
really a fan of that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean.
Also, how do they go back to the past? Because the reason that I thought that they would show up into the future is that the cave works one way. It lets you travel into the future, but not into the past.
But
because how do you like what's the lever that you just flop back to the past?
Okay, but my point is that my point with my idea is that I want, like, it's not perfect in any sense. I'm just trying to figure out a story with it about having to do with what this guy's, like, idea of the struggle is and everything, and how.
I just don't understand how mechanically that will work.
That's fine. With your idea into the future, what's the story?
I don't know.
Motivations with that.
I'm just throwing it out there
if we can figure that out.
That going into the future makes much more sense to me than going into the past, unless you can think of some way in which they would be able to reverse it.
All right, Josh. I don't care about the physics of it. I just mean, like,
I do.
Story-wise, what in the future does it offer? I'm not arguing we go to the past, but I say we figure out something in the future that makes sense for the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, cool. Okay, we're on the same page. Let's figure it out.
Yes. This is all wrong, all of it. The town ain't even the right name.
He should lie about the name and just say, like, it was his name. It was Johnstown. Johnsburg.
Wait. That sounds even better, honestly.
So, like, he uses the little information about actually living in the past to shape the information of the current perception of the past, so it was actually just, like, all about him and super glorified.
Okay, I actually like that, because in the beginning he jumped into the water to get away. So what if his character in the past was a coward? He was a coward all his life.
And so, now he's a liar.
And they're talking about him in the history book like he's a coward who ran away from everything. He was the town's jester. And so okay, physically it makes no sense. But maybe it somehow brings him back to the past. And then he fixes or like another time where he's able to fix history in that sort of way where he makes himself the hero even though he wasn't in the slightest. Like he writes fake stuff about himself.
All right, wait. So what if he's in the future, he reads about how he was just like a total nobody and he was just there, and he gets an idea and he goes back to the past and takes part in a historical event and does like a good part of it, and then the last shot, if this were a screenplay, is just the lady in the future looking is like, man, this guy was really cool, and it's just like he is a hero now. That's it.
All right, so for the listeners of the podcast or the viewers, this is obviously the most we've ever thought about any story we've ever written.
And it's so much better. It makes things make so much more sense.
Okay, here's what I think we should do for the episode. I think that we should write out our ideas and we have scenarios for different endings, just with like a paragraph explaining the different endings, because clearly we don't have enough time to write them all out.
Correct.
And I don't think we'll be happy with just one because we have so long of a time that we'd have to take to write this like this whole time traveling cowboy story.
Space Cowboys Part 2.
But I think right now we'll finish the sentence and then we'll do scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. And then we'll just that's what I think.
And then everyone votes on their favorite.
Sure. I mean, last week's podcast got 3 views, so maybe
it's 4 now. We're all the way up to 4.
Yeah, I think it was me who watched it.
Dang it.
No, I don't know.
I'll write scenario 1, you write scenario 2. And we're back.
I think we should keep that. We should bring that. We should use that for like our intros and everything.
I'm going to use it so much more. All right. So we wrote our 2 different scenarios. And should we go into them now or should we read the whole story first?
Let's read the whole story first.
All right.
So this episode was actually a little bit different. We actually thought about the story. And as Josh was saying, this is what Josh has always wanted to do. Think about it instead of improvising as much. And I mean, it's still... Yeah. Okay, first of all, this story is still completely improvised.
Correct.
But we put a little bit more thought into it as to what's the character's motives and everything. And I feel like obviously if this was like a 20-hour podcast, we'd have a decent story. But for now, you'll see the skeletons of something that maybe could be an interesting story one day.
Yes.
But for now, here's what we have. It's called...
Time Cowboy.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
The strong midday sun of the Montana plains heated up the land for miles before it was broken by an incoming array of dark clouds, foreshadowing. Arrows shot left and right of John as incoming Lakota tribe moved quickly in on horseback. The thundering sounds of hooves impacted the ground, echoed around the Missouri River Valley, shocking John as he fled from the wave of incoming assailants. Whistling projectiles screamed by John as he dunked himself into the reasonably clear water. Source, Josh's map. There are hills too, by the way. The icy cold water chilled him to the core, but he fought back his desire to surface as he dove down deeper towards the illuminated cavern. Oh snap! I got 3 words of imagery there.
Dove down deeper. Yeah. Chilled him to the core.
Oh yeah, and dove down deeper.
Nice.
Yeah, towards an illuminated cavern. As he kicked his legs to propel him to the hypnotizing beam below a rocky underwater cliff, his spurs spun
Ooh,
about behind him.
alliteration.
Oh,
All right. So one of our major things, if you just came from the timestamp, is alliteration. We used a lot of it on accident, and then we kept pointing it out every time we used it. So it
and
just
then
became
Alex
a
did it on
thing.
for yeah.
But
It's just a thing.
we're not gonna point it out anymore, except for maybe a couple of good ones.
I'll give you a wave if I see any alliteration. His hands grazed the threshold to the outcropping and with a strong push entered inside the large room with an air bubble at its ceiling. He gasped for air as he reached the surface and treaded in pure panic as he tried to calm himself down.
You shouldn't wave because I could hear you stopping, talking to wave.
I can only talk or wave. Not both.
Okay,
Can't do
I'm
both
pretty
at the
sure
same
it's
time.
pretty obvious to the listener or the watcher when there's alliteration. So
I know, but I'm so proud of it. Anyway, continue.
just give us a round of applause every time you see it. No, okay. So second paragraph. Steadying his breath to conserve oxygen in the limited volume of air he had found, John noticed below him a dim purple glow emanating from a small object in the depths of the space. As he brought his breathing back to a steady pace, he dove back below to grasp the smooth crystallic object, but as he palmed it, the rock slipped out and into a small crack within the cave's flooded floor. After returning to the small air bubble to refresh his breath, he dove down and began to pry at the crack, trying to seize his treasure once more. His hand bloodied at the sharp stone, stopping his reach, but he kept wrenching at the opening as he couldn't tear his eyes away from the purple essence.
And I'm on my phone. With a deep crack, the rock finally gave way, and seconds later, John was at the surface of the water, with a mysterious object in his hand. He wiped his blood off to clear the orb as the monotonous staring continued for what must have been hours. John really couldn't tell because he's underwater in a cave. The surface of the sphere was silky smooth, but with one rough patch near where the light was originating from. He snapped out of his hypnotic trance as he gasped for air, realizing he would be out soon. Out of air, that is. Using the sphere to light his path forward, he quickly swam out of the cave and broke back into the moral world with a splash.
Brokeback Mountain.
As he lifted himself out of the great beyond, he scanned his surroundings for any potential enemies before returning his gaze to the purple-hued orb.
He floated over to the riverbank and pulled himself out without much trouble, soothed by his return to land. He laid his soggy boots next to his side after pouring out a good gallon of pure Missouri river water, as he noticed a piece of litter, a bright green plastic paper with the word Sprite on it. With a confused but not too concerned look on his face, he tossed the paper away from where he was sitting, cleaning up his area before settling down for a short rest.
Hey, buddy, you okay? A man in a tan uniform and a tall brown hat looked down on John.
John immediately sat up and looked at the man who had appeared out of seemingly nowhere. "You lost, friend? The historical ranch is about 2 miles away from here," the burly man with the shiny badge asked.
20 minutes and 1 horse ride later. John hopped off the deputy's horse and wished him well, heading off towards some familiar houses while clutching his orb under his jacket. He approached a small log-sided cabin hut and walked in casually before plopping down onto the made-up bed. He started taking off his waterlogged clothes and drying off before a foreign voice interrupted him.
"Sir, you can't sleep on the displays. That bed is 160 years old."
John looked confusingly at his bed before replying. What you talking about? I just built this last week. The stranger gave him nothing but a smile before putting her hand. What does that even mean?
Wait, what? Putting her hand?
Yeah, putting her hand.
I think I meant putting out her hand.
Okay, putting out her hand. Ah, you must be Calvin.
Oh no, not that voice again.
Heard we were getting some new hires this week from Cleveland. Didn't quite expect you to be so soon, though. She smiled briefly, became serious again. But seriously, though, get off to bed. John stood abruptly before reading a large ledger detailing the history of his house that was placed on a lectern in the center of the room.
He quickly read through the historic information while the manager began to clear off the clothes that John plopped down on the bed earlier. "This is all wrong, all of it. This town ain't even the right name. I'm no coward. This is blasphemous." All right.
And now we go into the Choose Your Own Adventure section.
So because we don't have enough time in writing this to write out a full ending, we're going to put our scenarios for what the endings could be because we both had wildly different ideas. So Josh, go ahead with yours.
All right. Page 46. Scenario 1. John finds out that he was thought of as a coward by the people in the past and is deeply frustrated by that. The manager is a big history nerd and really wants to know about the past. So John uses his brief knowledge of what the past was like, because he's not really that smart, to convince the manager to come with him on a journey back to the Time Cave, which is a cool name, where they will try to return to the past. In the end, the two travel to the future instead, because that's how Josh thinks time travel works with the magic orb, or did so at the time. Came to a realization about that later. There, they both decide to contribute their knowledge to the future civilization, because no one can change their past. They can only try to do better in the future. Boom, done. I did it. Nailed it 100%.
Okay, so I learned something from that. The title of this story.
Time Cave?
Cowboy Time Cave.
Cowboy Time Cave? Okay, that's good.
I think that's almost as good as Alaskan Wheelchair Golfer. That was the best one. That was our first and best one. I think this is going to beat it. All right.
Yeah.
So now
I like
for my
Yvonne's
scenario.
Special Opportunity, too. Just throwing that out there.
That was pretty good. So mine's a little bit longer, a little bit more detailed. So I had a completely wildly different idea than Josh. So the history books at the Historic Town Museum talk about Sheriff John, because he was the sheriff, but we never learned that. But now he is. As a coward who let his town get overrun with crime and was soon abandoned due to his disappearance after an attack from the warring Lakota tribe, which is what you saw at the beginning of the story. John asks the town manager about in-and-near gun stores, and his only option is the Pawn America and downtown Billings. He pawns off his Colt 95/Lightning and his antique relic boots to pay for two semi-automatic machine guns. He then runs back to the river and goes back into the time cave and stares at the orb for way too long until it turns orange. He then reemerges in 1880 armed with his weapons, wiping out enemies and establishing complete dictatorial control over his town. As an old retired all-powerful sheriff of Johnstown, Montana, his glory days are far behind him as he goes back to the future where he expects to find a museum about his historic legacy. But it turns out he's depicted as a genocidal dictator of a town that soon collapsed after his mysterious disappearance in 1901. In the present day, John has a heart attack when reading about his long-gone empire and stained legacy.
So,
and dies.
And he dies. Okay, so I originally thought that the time cave only works in forward, but so we figured out a way. Well, I figured out a way in which mechanically I think he could be able to go back to the past, and that's like an integer error. If you add one past the maximum value of an integer in Java, where you wrap around back to the bottom to the minimum value of the integer, we'll do that. Where he goes,
I said
so far into the future that he comes back into the past.
It's like that one episode of Roadrunner where he runs like around the earth like a million times. Have you seen that one?
No.
Anyways, so I think both of our endings have the same exact theme. You can't change like the past in a way. I mean, he did all this. He wildly changed the past, but he couldn't change how people liked him.
That's true.
He did all this stuff, but he still couldn't change.
In my ending, what happened was he basically just got a pop-up message that said you can't change the past. In yours, he actually learned it. So I think yours is the better one here, but we'll leave it to the audience to decide.
I'm really for the movie version of this. I can't wait for him to go to downtown Billings and go into Pawn America and just see how everything is different. And then I don't know how it's going to turn into Montana, but I think he had.
I feel like that's just like a montage, a montage.
But we hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm actually really proud of my ending. It actually makes sense story-wise.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So yeah, don't be John. Don't be a genocidal dictator. If you find a purple orb in a cave, don't pick it up. It'll only bring you sadness and a heart attack.
Also, time. If you find a purple orb in a cowboy time cave,
don't pick it up. And also, we never explained anything having to do with the sheriff or anything, or if he took him in a car or something, or if he walked.
No, it says canonically it's a horse. 20 minutes and one horse ride
I'll go
later.
With that. That's fine.
It's a horse.
But we hope you enjoyed. Tune in next week for the feature-length film version of this.
when we get the rights for the $60 million blockbuster that is Cowboy Time Cave.
We hope you enjoyed. Make sure to catch Cowboy Time Cave in theaters next week.
Make it in 1 week.
1 week. Yep. It's gonna be done, and it's gonna be a big box office hit. and we're gonna be
Snap.
world famous directors. I mean, of course, it's my story, so I'd be like the main director, but Josh can be like a producer or something. So like, sounds like a deal.
I'll contact my lawyer, and we'll see you all next week. I've been Josh,
I am Alex.
and this is
The
the
end.
end.